Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Coding with T. Today we're going to learn how to handle checkout and also how to fetch all the orders of the e-commerce application. First of all, let's quickly have a look what we are going to achieve. Okay, our application is running, data has been loaded. This is everything that we have already learned how to fetch all the details, all the records and display them. If you're new, you can watch the playlist link is in the description. Also, you can download the complete application from the link below. Okay, if I am heading towards the cart, currently the cart is empty. So let's first fill it out. Let's add two items, click on variation product and select one variation. Let's add two items of this product into the cart. It's added. Head back over here. So we have four items in the cart which we learned in the previous tutorial, these cart handling. And when I'm going to click on this checkout button, you can see we have all the products, all the three products right over here at the top. We have a subtotal price, then we have a shipping fee, tax fee. You can see a tax has been calculated, and also then we have the order total combination of all these values. After that, by default, we have a payment method selected. When I'm going to click on this, you can select any of the payment method. Let's go for the MasterCard, and from here we are able to fetch all the addresses. You can toggle any address and that selected address will be displayed over here. Also, when you click on this, you can add new address button, and by this way you can add a new address over here as well. So we have already learned that how to add addresses, fetch all the addresses, etc. So let's close it. Now when I'm going to click on this checkout button, after processing, you can see the order has been completed. Payment successful. Your item will be shipped soon. Click on continue and you are redirected back to the home screen. So when again go to the profile, go to my orders, and in here you can see we have the latest order at the top. They all are currently in processing state, but you can definitely, or the admin can definitely change the status of each order. So this is what we are going to learn today's tutorial. Let's get started. We are creating Flutter e-commerce application and we are about to create the last video of this playlist. After this playlist, we are going to move towards the payment gateways, and also after that we are going to start our admin panel. In the previous section one, we have already covered the basics of creating Flutter project. After that, we learn how to design our login part. Then in section 3, we design the complete e-commerce application. And in section 4, we started the backend with the Firebase authentication. And in the last section, the one we are completing, this is the last video of this playlist. And in this section, we have completed all the backend of our e-commerce application. You can get the complete playlist link from the description, and also you can download the complete code. Link is in the description. So let's get started with today's tutorial. Open your project and we are inside our Flutter project, and you can see I have opened the checkout.dart which we have already designed. Inside this checkout, if you follow the previous tutorial in which we created the T cart items widget, and inside these widgets we created the cart controller instance, and using this cart controller we try to fetch all the cart items. Inside the list view we have T cart item over here, and we also have the show add remove buttons option over here. If you see the design, let's try to add something in the cart, because when the order is completed, cart will be empty. So this is the additional button. This is the minus plus sign with the quantity, and also the price is in another row which you can see over here. So this is the additional row that we are creating after the cart item. So when I'm going to head towards the checkout, you can see we have the cart item over here, but we don't have any minus plus signs with the price value of that product. So in the previous tutorial, we were displaying all these things with the show add remove button by default value as true. But in the checkout, we call the same tcart items widget and we just pass the show add remove button as false. And this is going to again call the same widget using cart controller. It is going to fetch all the products and will be displayed right over here in the checkout. You can see we have one item. After displaying the cart items, you can see we have a coupon code. We are not going to deal with the coupon code because we have not created any designs for this yet, but you can simply add the coupon code over here, and once the user added the coupon code, get that coupon code from this field, and based on this coupon code you can deal with the billing amount section. So the next thing or the main thing is the billing section. If I open this again, you can see this is the next thing after the coupon, which is the billing section. We have a subtotal, then we have a shipping fee and tax fee, and after that we're going to display the order total price. So let's go to the billing amount section, and inside currently we have dummy value. So if I open this billing amount section, if you remember that we have total price calculated inside the card controller. So let's create the controller, card controller dot instance, because we already know that we have created the card controller instance. Now we just have to find the created instance using card controller dot instance. Once created, we have total card price over here. So we just have to access this subtotal card controller dot card total price dot value is going to get us the subtotal price of the card. Now we have to remove this. The first dollar is the dollar sign that is going to print, and then the next dollar is going to get print this subtotal value. Now to calculate the shipping fee, the tax fee, and also the order total, I'm going to use a function. Okay, I've called a class with the function calculate shipping cost. This is the function that we have already created, and inside this function I pass the subtotal and the currency, which is US. So if I'm going to open this, so this is the T pricing calculator class, and we have a method calculate total price, calculate shipping cost, calculate tax rate for location, get shipping cost. So we're going to use these functions. They all are static. This means that we can directly call T pricing calculator dot name of these functions and pass all the values which are required. So the first thing is to calculate the shipping fee. So I have called a function which is calculate shipping cost. It requires two things. The first one is subtotal and the second one is the location, because currently we don't have any locations. So to get the shipping cost, there's another function get shipping cost. You just have to pass the location to this, and let's assume that we have all the list of statements. So inside this shipping cost, we are going to receive the location, and let's say I'm going to add if the location is equal to US, then I'm going to get or calculate the US tax rate and return the double value, which is 5% in this case. So once we have that 5% over here, I'm going to ship it as dot to string as fixed value with the two dot decimal values next to the actual price. This means that 5.00 will be printed over here in the design. So same way, I'm going to copy this and call the function for the tax fee, which is calculate tax. If you open this, it is again going to get subtotal and location for which we're going to calculate the tax. So call the get tax rate for location. This is going to work as same with the shipping cost, receive the location and calculate the tax for that specific location. In this case, I'm just returning 0.10% means the 10% of total amount. So when we receive the tax rate over here, I'm going to multiply that with the subtotal. We will have tax amount. Again, I'm going to use two decimals and return that tax amount from here. And with this way, we will be able to print our tax fee over here. And now to calculate the order total, paste the function, calculate total price. This is going to get the subtotal, get the location. To calculate the total price, we need both functions to be triggered. So first, we are going to call the get tax rate for location. Then we're going to get the shipping cost. So once we have the tax, we will multiply with the subtotal to get the tax amount, and the shipping cost will be calculated based on the location. So once we have these two things, have a subtotal plus tax amount plus shipping cost, we'll have a total price, and definitely it is going to return a double value. And based on that, we are going to display the order total. So that's it for the billing section. Let me run this application. After that, we have the billing payment section. So if I'm going to open this payment section, inside you can see we have a static title payment method. Then we have a button title change. Whenever this button will be triggered, we want to open a pop-up so that any other payment method can be selected. And then simply we have a design that is going to display the current selected payment method. Image will be displayed over here and text will be displayed over here. Now we're going to create a function for this that is going to display a pop-up inside the checkout controller for this library. I've created a checkout controller inside the shop product, and over here we have a checkout controller dot. It is an empty class extending with the getX. Now to get the selected payment method, I have created the RX type of payment method model, which is going to be a selected payment. By default, it is empty. So if I am going to open this, this is a simple model with a name and image, and it also has an empty method over here, which I've created inside the model, inside the payment method model. So once created, we just have to assign with the empty model over here. Whenever there is change inside the selected payment method, we will be able to redraw the design using this .obs. And also if you want to assign any default payment method inside the on init method, so just override this method, and using this selected payment method .value, you can assign the payment method model, assign a name which is PayPal, image, image of the PayPal. After this, we are going to create a function that is going to display a bottom sheet to select other payment methods. Select payment method, it will receive the context. Now let's create the bottom sheet, show model bottom sheet, and we're going to pass the context. Next, we have to create a builder. Inside the builder, we're going to return scrollable single child scroll view with the container, and then in the child, we're going to create a column. This column is going to contain all the list of children's or all the payment methods. Make this column to start from the left side. And I'm going to create the T section heading by creating a title, show action button as false, which will be select payment method, add some space, and then we are going to use the payment tile, which receives the payment method model. And inside the payment method model, we're going to pass name and image. First name will be PayPal and image will be inside the T images. We have all the other images. So let's remove this constant. So inside this payment tile, if you open this, I have created a simple payment tile which is going to receive the payment method that we are going to assign over here. That we're going to pass it and will receive inside this payment tile. Once we receive that payment tile over here using the checkout controller, the one we are just creating again inside the on tap method of the list tile, make the edge index to 0 to remove all the padding. And whenever this list tile will be tapped, we're going to call this controller dot selected payment method because now we have created this. So selected payment method dot value is equal to current payment method that has been passed to this tile. And inside this rounded container, we have an image. Then we have a title over here with the trailing icon. So inside, whenever the PayPal will be selected or PayPal will be tapped, this on tap method will be triggered and the current payment method, which is PayPal, will be assigned to this selected payment method. And also using this get back, we will be redirected back to the previous screen. Next, add some space between items and I'm going to duplicate it for all the rest of the values. So I've created PayPal, Google Pay, Apple, Visa, MasterCard. You can also by this way create cash on delivery method as well. So in the next videos after this playlist, which is the payment videos, whenever let's say the user is going to tap on this PayPal, we will get the details of this PayPal. And whenever user is going to click on the checkout button, instead of simply processing the order, we will open the PayPal first. And when we receive the success scenario or the success method that the payment has been completed, only after that we are going to process that order, and that will be applicable to all of these values. Now let's close this, open again the billing payment section, and inside the payment method, whenever the change button will be triggered. So this is the change method. Whenever this is going to be tapped, we want to open the bottom sheet that we just created, and we first have an image, then we have a title, which is the list tile. So whenever I'm going to click on any of the tile, so that tile will be selected and displayed right over here in the screen. So let me create a function over here. Using the controller, I'm going to call the select payment method, which is going to open the show model bottom sheet, and then we're going to remove the static data with the controller dot selected payment method with the image. Whatever payment method is selected, that image will be displayed over here. Remove this constant, and also we're going to remove this static name of the selected payment method because this selected payment method is the OBS value. So whenever the new method will be selected from this pop-up, we want to update the image and name over here. So for that, we have to wrap this row with the OBX widget. This OBX widget is going to redraw the complete row. So we are done with the billing payment method. So let's open the application. Okay, our application is running. Let's go to the checkout, and you can see we have a lot of elements inside the cart. Now its price is 1964. When I'm going to click on this checkout button, you can see all the elements listed over here without the price. And also you can see the shipping price or the subtotal. Let me open it a bit. So subtotal is this, shipping fee is 5%. Then the tax fee has been added 196.40 and the order total has been updated. Now when we head towards the bottom, you can see we have an error which is check out controller not found. You need to call get.put. This means inside this checkout controller because we do not have any instance already created of this checkout controller. So that's why we are going to create the new instance using get.put method. By this way, it will create a new instance first, and later on that same instance will be used. Let's rerun it again. It's running. Let's go to cart, click on checkout, scroll bottom, and you can see the PayPal has been selected by default because we declared that in the onInit method. So when the new instance created, it assigned the onInit method as the PayPal image and value. So let's click on this change button, and we have a scrollable list of payment methods. Let's go for the Paytm, and you can see Paytm is selected. So now we have static values of this shipping address, and we also want to open the shipping address pop-up over here to display all the addresses from the Firestore. So for that, let's close this, go to checkout and open the billing address section. Inside this, first of all, to replace all these values, we have to call our address controller. Also, if we are going to use the address controller dot instance, which is this one, which is going to find the already created instance of this address controller, this might not be successful because if we head towards the bindings in the general bindings, we have not declared address controller or other controllers. So we can declare them right over here. If you do not want to create another instance again, so use address controller, and same way you can create checkout controller. So once declared, now we can only use the dot instance to create all the new instances. So if I'm going to open the address controller, down below you can see we have add new address method, select address method, and get all user addresses. So the pop-up in which we are going to receive or display a new address pop-up. So for that, inside this address controller, I'm going to create a new function over here. I have called the select new address pop-up. Inside, I have created the show model bottom sheet again with the context and builder methods. So we have two methods over here. So we have to pass the context, and then inside the builder, I'm going to return a simple container with a padding in it. And after that, we have a column with a section title, and also make show action button to false because by default it is true. So this way we have the heading as select address, and after that, using a future builder, I'm going to call the method that we have already declared created at the top. We're going to use the address repository to fetch all the addresses from this function. Once we have all the addresses inside the list address from this function, we will have the snapshot data, and using the cloud functions dot check multi-record, which is going to check that if current connection state is waiting, it will display a loader. Then it is going to check the empty data, also the error, and if nothing found, everything is fine, it is going to return null. And when we receive null, we will be proceeding towards the next widget and will return the list view.builder. This builder is going to display all the single addresses. Data will be received from the snapshot.data.length and snapshot.data at current index of this list view. We will have the current address. So this is what we have already completed and learned inside the address section. And down below we have another button which is going to redirect simply to add new address screen. So once we have everything created inside this model bottom sheet, we're going to head towards the billing address section, and whenever the change method will be triggered, we are going to call address controller dot select new address pop-up, and we will pass the current context so that we can display that pop-up inside this screen, which is the billing address section. Now next, if you see that we have the title, then we have the phone number and the complete address over here. So there are two scenarios. Either we have the selected address or we do not have the selected address. So I'm going to wrap this text with a column and also all these values extracted from here, paste it inside this column. Now to print the column, either we have to display the data, which we are going to display in this column, or we do not have any selected address. So use address controller dot call the selected address dot value, and if the id of that selected address is not empty, which means that we have something inside the selected address, then we're going to return the column. And in the else case, we're going to simply return a text message to select address, and that's it. Now let's save the code again, but we have to rerun it because we declared instance of this controller inside the general bindings. Okay, our application is running. Let's click on this card, go to checkout, and down below over here we do not have anything, so we have a select address. Click on change button, and you can see after a loader we have two addresses. If we head back over here, go to profile inside my addresses, you can see we have two addresses that we created in the previous tutorial. So by this way, let's go to again checkout, and down below we can click on this change. You can select another method. You can see a nice loader, and after that we have a method over here to display all the text. And also because we have moved all this text to this column. So now to shift the text to the left side, use cross-axis alignment dot start, and we have the text on the left side. And also when I'm going to click on this change button, add new address will open the new address screen. Clicking on the back screen will redirect to this screen, and let's close it. Once we selected the payment, we have everything total calculated. Our shipping address is also selected. Now when I'm going to click on this checkout button, currently we have the error because we did not perform the operation yet. So let's minimize it. Let's go to checkout, and this is the function that we want to display. So inside this checkout button, in the previous tutorial, we moved towards simply the next screen, which is success screen. We are not going to move towards there. First, let's remove this with the function which is going to calculate the complete total. And also to get the subtotal at the top, we are going to create card controller instance. And using that card controller instance, we're going to get the total card price, name it subtotal, and we are going to pass that subtotal to this function. So this is going to display the subtotal on the checkout button. So whenever this checkout is going to be clicked, we don't want to display the success screen. So let's remove this get.to and also this function, because first we are going to check that if we have something in the subtotal, if the subtotal is greater than 0, this means that we have something in the cart that can be sold out. If this is the case, we're going to call a function order controller dot process order, and we have to pass the total amount again. So because we need total amount two times, so instead of copy pasting this again and again, let's go to the top and create a variable. First is going to create a new instance of the order controller, and the second one is the total amount using the same function to calculate the price. And we're going to simply call total amount in the checkout button, and using the order controller we're going to create a function process order, and will pass the total amount so that order can be processed. A function will be called that is going to execute tloader dot warning snack bar empty cart add items in the cart in order to proceed. Now, whenever this button will be tapped inside the order controller, we are going to manage the orders or the process the orders. So we are almost done with the checkout screen. So we are heading towards the order controller, head towards features, shop, screens, open the order to Dart, and inside you can see we have a widget which is handling all the list of orders. So open this, and currently we're displaying a list view to display all the orders. So we're going to make it dynamic using a feature builder. So first, let's go to the controllers. In the product, I have created order controller, which is currently an empty class, again extending with a getX controller. So it has a variables, and also it has its own order repository. So first of all, we are going to fetch users order history or all the orders of the user. So we are going to create a function, same way we created all the other functions in the previous tutorials, which is going to return us a list of order models, which will be a future type and async type. Because we are using the cloud queries, so we have to use the await sign. Using this order repository dot fetch user method, we are going to fetch all the user orders, and if we receive any error, we are going to catch and display that error message over here. Now inside this order repository, using the same Firebase Firestore instance, we are going to call our database, which is the Firebase Firestore database, and inside we are going to call the fetch user orders method. First, we are going to get the user ID from the authentication repository. This is the class using auth user method, which is Firebase auth dot instance dot current user is going to return us the current logged in user instance dot UID, because based on this user UID, we're going to get or set all the orders, because we want to fetch orders of this current user. So you can see I'm going to call the database, which is Firebase Firestore dot instance, then collection of users, the list of users, then we have a document of user ID, because we have all the record of that user inside the user ID. Then again, I have another collection or the sub collection of orders. Dot get is going to display all the orders of this specific user. This is actually same as we created all the addresses. So let me open the Firebase. Okay, open your Firebase Firestore inside the users collection. you can see I have opened a collection which has a sub collection of orders. When I'm going to open this, it has a single document, or you can say a single order with an address, a complete address copy. Then we have a delivery date, ID of that order. Then we have all the items inside the array. Order date, payment method is PayPal, status, order status dot pending. Then we have total amount and user ID. This is not actually required, but you can also add it in order to fetch all the orders separately. So if I open the items, you can see we have two items over here. So if you open them inside, because items is an array of items, so we have 0 and 1. So this is what we are going to do inside the users. So same inside the query, if we all the Firebase database collection of users, pass the document ID, then again collection of orders, and based on this orders we're going to get all the orders of this current user, and we're going to map those orders on this order model using from snapshot.toList going to return all the orders. If we talk about the order model, first of all we have ID, user ID, status, total amount, order date, payment method or the selected address, then we have a delivery date, and then over here we have all the items that we added in the cart, which is list of cart item models. If you remember that we have added all those items in the cart. Then we have its constructor. After that, we have a formatted order date, just a helper function to format the order date. Then we have formatted delivery date and also the order status text. If the status that we received over here is delivered, we're going to display a text like this. Else if status is shipped, we're going to display it like shipment on the way. Else we're going to display the processing. Then we have the to JSON. This is going to help us when we are going to save the order into the database. JSON will be called, it is going to convert the complete model data and map it into a JSON format. Now to map all the items one by one, we have to call the items dot map property. We're going to extract the single item at a time and call the dot to JSON function, because if we open this model, because if you see we have a cart item model over here. So if we open the cart item model, and it also has the to JSON method, which is going to convert each cart item into a JSON format as we are calling over here. If you hover this item, it is a cart item model dot to JSON is going to convert that, and that JSON list will be assigned to this list of items, and again it will be converted to JSON again, and that list will be stored into Firestore. And if we're going to receive the data from the Firestore, you know that we receive the JSONs inside the document snapshot.data. We are going to receive the JSON and we're going to map all the JSON in this manner. You can get the status from order status.values dot first where get the data of the status. This is going to return processing, delivered or in progress status of the order. Then we have the amount, order date, payment method. Then address will be used as address model dot from map, because address has the complete details, and from map is going to again get the JSON, map all the models into the address model, and that model will be assigned back over here. Then again, the delivery date, going to check that if we have a delivery date, not now, using timestamp dot to date, we're going to assign the delivery date over here. Then comes the list of items. To get the actual list of items that we have over here inside the data of items, if you remember, we have an array of items inside the database. So to receive that list is an array, so that list will be received as a list of dynamic. Once we have that list over here, we're going to run that map property, because we want to again convert this JSON. Each item, or you can say each index, which is 0, 1, 2, will be passed over here inside the item data, and we are going to convert that JSON using cart item model dot from JSON method, which is going to receive this JSON, and based on these IDs, it is going to convert that data and pass this cart item model back to this map property. You can see we have to pass the item data as map of string dynamic because it is a JSON. So we have to pass it like this. Once all the items has been looped through using toList, we are going to assign all the items to the list of cart item models. By this way, we're going to extract all the orders. And now inside this order repository, we will be able to return all the list of orders back to the function where we called. So let's head back to the function which is calling the fetch user orders. We're going to get the orders and return back those orders. Now, in order to process the order, we're going to create another function which is going to save the order details. So I have created a function which is process order. This is the function actually we are going to call from the checkout method order controller dot process order, and we're going to pass the complete amount to this function. So first of all, we're going to display a loader, start loader using t full screen loader dot open loading dialog. This is a custom class that we created with the custom values. So once it start loading, the first thing, because we have to store this order inside the current logged in user ID, so we first have to get the user ID from the authentication repository. All the authentication repository using auth user, we're going to get the current user and UID will be returned over here. If our user ID is empty, this means that we do not have any user logged in, and simply we are going to return, and we are not going to process anything because we have to store the orders inside the current logged in user collection. Then we have to map all the details into the order model. So first one is the ID. Currently I'm using unique key to generate unique IDs for each order. You can use your own methods to generate your order IDs. Then we have the user ID over here. Then the order status by default will be pending. You can change order status because we are using enums over here. So we have pending, processing, shipped, delivered, and cancelled. So the first one will be pending status. Then we are going to pass the total amount. Order date will be order date dot now. Payment method. We're going to call this payment method using checkout controller, the instance that we created at the top. Dot selected payment method dot value dot name is going to get us the payment method name. Then same way we're going to call the address controller to get the selected address. Then we have a delivery date. So you can calculate this delivery date, pass null value or pass the current date. As I'm going to pass date time dot now. So it's up to you. You can change this as well. And then comes the items. So all the cart controller at the top. So we know that we have all the items inside the cart items. Dot to list is going to convert the RX list of cart items into a simple list of cart items. Once everything is mapped to the order model, we have the order over here. We're going to call the order repository dot save order. We have order, then we have a user ID. This order is going to be saved. Where it is going to be saved? Inside the user's collection. Again, inside the user's document ID. Again, call the collection of orders, and inside I'm going to add the order dot to JSON, which is going to convert order to a JSON format, and we are going to save this order inside our database. Once the order has been processed, then we're going to call the cart controller dot clear the cart. This is function which is going to clear all the values inside the cart because order has been completed now. And then when everything is completed, get dot off method is going to redirect to the success screen, and just change it to the navigation menu. We have a success screen which can receive the image, title, and subtitle, then also a button which has an on press method. So it's on press whenever the button will be pressed. We're going to redirect to the navigation menu, which has by default going to open us the home screen. You can also redirect to the order screen as well. Now we are triggering this process order, but we are not displaying the order details or the complete user orders. So to display all the orders, go to the order order, and inside the order list items, I'm going to make it dynamic, so wrap it with the future builder. So I've wrapped the lit view inside the future builder and call our controller using order controller to fetch user records, which is a cloud query. Future builder is going to process this order, and in the snapshot we will have some data. This is a simple empty widget that I've created using animation loader widget. It can receive text, animation. You can pass the show action button, action text, and also on action pressed method. Okay, once you passed all this, I have created an empty widget, and using again the cloud helper function to check either the state is waiting, we have some data, or we do not have some data. Either we have an error. If we receive the null, we are going to execute the main widget, because inside the future method builder we have to return some widget. So if the response is not null, if we have waiting state or some other state, we are going to return this widget. Else, if everything is now fine, we are going to get the data from the snapshot.data. We will have all the list of orders, and using the list view builder, just change the item count to orders.length that we received over here. And from the orders at current index of this list view, we will have an order over here. So just change the static values with the order.status, order.formatted date, also the order ID if you want to display it. And at the bottom, we have formatted delivery date of that order. So we are pretty much done. Let's rerun this application. Okay, our application is running. Let's click on checkout now. We have list of elements in the cart. Click on checkout. So first we have all the items over here. Then we calculated the order total with the shipping fee. Payment method is selected. Let's select the new address, change the payment method to MasterCard, click on checkout, and you can see the processing. And after processing, we have successful, the payment success. This means that order payment has been completed. Let's open the Firebase console, go to the users, inside, go to the current user, and previously you can see this user added some addresses as a sub collection, which will have two addresses. And this time, when I'm going to open the sub collection of orders, it has a new order. So we have all the address, the selected address has been copied over here. Delivery date is the current date. And then we have the order ID, random order ID. We have order items, the first one, then we have second, third, fourth. We have in total five orders. Then again, the order date is this, payment method is MasterCard, status is pending, total amount is this one. Then this is the user that who added this order. And also if we click on continue, go to profile, and go to orders, you can see after processing we have all the orders, but I think we are missing some space around these corners. So I just added again some space around the T rounded container, which was missing. So this is the order currently in the processing state. By this way you can add all the orders. So that's it for today's tutorial, and that's it for the playlist that we created. I hope you learned something new, and if you learned something new, please like the video. And from now onwards, we're going to enhance or keep adding new features to this one. And also I'm going to launch the admin panel tutorials with a complete playlist. After creating the payment methods, we're going to learn PayPal, Stripe, in-app purchase, and bunch of other payment options. If you want some other payment options that you have in your own country, you can also suggest me or reach me at support@codingwitty.com. I'm also planning to launch the subscriptions on the YouTube, so make sure to subscribe them as well. So that's it for today's tutorial. So thank you for watching. Take care. Allah Hafiz.